took forever to get to the ground, but I landed in a plowed field, and I didn't know what at the time what country, but I could see people coming over. Their little village, like all brick houses, like a commune farm sort of a thing, and people were running out, and I might have been 50 yards off of a street there, off a little road, and a couple of old farm women, they came up and they grabbed my chute and wrapped it up and hid it, took off with it. And then a young kid, in his early teens, come and took a hold of me, and he took me out to the road, put me on a bike, and was just pushing along beside me, and took me up kind of a gradual incline. I don't know, it might have been a couple hundred yards or a quarter of a mile, I can't recall, to a farmhouse up there. And anyhow, it turns out that we were in Belgium, and this farmer guy, he could talk English, but he had a little American flag about 2 inches, and he's waving that, smiling. And
now, what day would this have been? What was the date?
April 12th, my brother's birthday. That's the first thing I laughed when I opened my chute up, and I said, I had wrote my mother a letter. I said, well, Ingrid's birthday is coming up. Hope I can celebrate it with a bang. And I laughed when I was coming down. I said that.
So this would have been 1944.
That was 44, April 12th, 44, yeah. Anyway, this old boy, he said, the Germans will be looking for you. He said, we have to move you away from here, he says. So anyhow, they gave me a meal of bacon and a good old farm bacon, some eggs, and then they gave me an old suit of clothes and shoes. I don't remember if I had a cap, but I think I did, and a red necktie. And so then he said that they'd have this young fella on a bicycle for me to follow about 100 meters behind. So I didn't know a meter then, but I figured I'll stay back 100, 150 yards. And so I said, he's going to guide you, lead you to someplace. So we got out on the road, and just riding along through a beautiful sunny day in April, and I was whistling away. I thought, boy, I'm on the way home. And I know we rode an hour, a long ways, and met one time a German soldier on a motorcycle coming the other direction. He just putting up the road the other direction. But that was the only Germans I saw at that time. But then we come into the edge of a village, and this kid that was leading me, there was a older guy in a black suit, just civilian suit, come walking out from the edge by a house, and this kid stopped, and I didn't know what to think. I thought, well, maybe he knows him, and I second guessing I should have done different than I did, but I slowed down, and I didn't see him really talking and pulling out papers, but I thought, well, I'll just ride on by like I don't know him. And so I pedaled on slow, but by the time I got just passing this guy and the kid, this old boy says, halt! And so I figured, well, I kind of rode a long ways, and I wheeled around slow and come back. I could see this kid, he was scared. He had a scared look on his face. And I kind of just rode back the other way and looped around. By then the kid had gotten done and left. And then this guy started quizzing me. He says, are you English? Are you Americanish? And finally I told him, yeah, I'm American. So he took my bike and ran over by a house there. And I don't know how, if he went in and phoned on a phone or what he did, but wasn't long. Here come a car with a couple of soldiers, German soldiers.
And he had just left you standing out there?
Yeah, with him, of course.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it was right in the edge of the village, right? Little old village houses there, brick houses. So anyhow, then they hauled me up in the middle of this town, which turned out to be the town of H-U-I. I don't know if you call it Hui or you call it Hi.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, they hauled me into the police station there. quizzed me a while. And want to know where the sapots, you know, that's your shoes.
Uh-huh.
Where you get the sapot? Where you get the bicycle? Things like that. And they always tell you, just tell them your name, rank, and serial number, and the Germans won't torture you, won't hurt you. So I was not scared, luckily. And so I didn't say anything to them. And finally, then they had another younger, burly-looking German soldier. He came up when they was talking to him. He took my necktie and started twisting like he was going to choke me. And I just stood there and looked at him. So finally, he just backed up and snapped my tie. Kind of a humorous thing. I almost had to laugh out loud with that. But they didn't hurt. They wouldn't hurt you. But then they put me downstairs in a big room, like made out of like sheetrock, I guess you'd say, right in the middle of a warehouse floor. Big thing. Heck, it must have been 20, 25 foot square. And I know they was in there to listen and watch, perhaps. Anyhow, before long, here come our co-pilot. He was still in his uniform, in his flying suit. They had nabbed him, and we didn't talk, but he made a motion. You know, he went like he bailed out, clear from the, but by the flight deck, he made like he dived all the way down through this area. How I was telling you, across the radio operators area, and dived.
Right.
He dived clear across there to miss this fire, and got out all right. And then he says like this, and they showed how they grabbed him as soon as he hit the ground. So they had him there, and but we didn't talk. We sat in there for some time. We didn't talk. And I don't remember then if they took and put us in another cell, but for a while. But anyhow, later that night, they never gave us nothing to eat all that time or anything. But then later that night, they put us in it was the next morning. It was traveling daylight. Anyhow, they put us in the back of an open back, like a delivery truck sort of a thing. And they had two German guards sitting there, and they hauled us, I guess when they hauled us up to Brussels. So then there they put me in a cell with, I don't know, 3 or 4 other American GIs that had been caught in civilian clothes. And I ended up being there 6 weeks, but in the meantime, they brought our bombardier in there, William Burt. He'd got caught in his uniform. They had us, you know, they know all that stuff. Like when I wouldn't tell them, I don't know if this was in Brussels or the police. That was in Brussels. Yeah, this one German guy. I wouldn't tell him what group I was in. He said, I will tell you. Then you're in the 445th bomb group from Tibenham, England. They know all about us, and they know all our crew members and all that. And they just had Bert in there to confirm, I think. Although I can't remember. I know when you get a bunch of guys like that, you're going to talk, and you know the place is bugged. Anyhow, they kept us there. I was in that place 6 weeks, in that jail. And they shipped all of us guys out. And they gave us, got our civilian clothes off, and I was given like a flighted heat suit to wear, a heated flight suit, I should say, which is kind of like a blue quilty thing with electric wires in it. And I was given that for to travel in. And they took us over to Cologne, I guess, K-O-L-N, Cologne on the Rhine River. They put us on a train, and we rode down the Rhine River, or up there, I forgot which that would be, I think up. Anyhow, it was a pretty trip. And we ended up in Frankfurt. And that's one of the areas that I had been on a mission where they bombed the whole city, and that it had been a beautiful railroad station. And it was completely demolished. All the glass gone, and the civilians lining along there watching us walk by, and oh, there was hatred in their eyes, spitting in our direction. And this one woman, I can remember, she pointing at us, telling her kid, you know, about us Luftgangsters. Just hatred in her eyes. You couldn't blame her. Boy, it made you feel worried, a little bad, but of course the soldiers protecting us.
Right.
Anyhow, then they took us to this Stalag Luft, which is a transient camp air where they process guys like us, and they gave us a Red Cross suitcase made out of stiff cardboard, but regular little old suitcase. They had a pair of pajamas, a pair of kind of open slippers, shaving kit. I can't remember, quite a few things. I suppose a razor and a comb. And GI, we got some GI pants too, GI clothes again. And I don't remember about if we got our overcoat at that time. I wouldn't doubt that was in there. Pretty well got outfitted through the Red Cross. And they put us on, then, we might have been there a couple of days, but they put us on a train. We rode 4 days going across Europe, across Germany, and we ended up there in northwestern Poland. And I couldn't tell you the town, but it's below Stettin somewhere, where we finally got off of the train, and then they marched us a mile or two to our prison camp, which was Stalag Luft IV. And